take their seats? Would you please take your seats so we can start the meeting? We'll call this meeting of the Committee of the Whole to order at 6:59. Roll call.
Mrs. Allen. Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Darney.
Here.
Mr. Burchett.
Here.
Mrs. Witt. Ms. Marcus.
Here.
I'd like to make a motion that we excuse
Mrs. Allen.
Ms. Allen and Ms. Witt from this meeting tonight.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Burchett.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Darney.
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. We have the approval of the minutes from our June 2nd meeting. Hearing no changes or corrections, they will be approved as they are. Hearing none, they are approved. Finance Director,
No report, thank you.
City Manager,
No report, Ms. Marcus, thank you.
Mayor Murphy,
Here. No report, thank you.
Law Director,
No report, thank you.
Clerk of Council.
No report, thank you.
Okay, we're going to business. The first one is the citywide purchase of automated external defibrillators.
Yes, ma'am. So several years ago, we started putting automatic external defibrillators around the city in different divisions to make sure that we had them available to use for our trained employees that can use them, and also for the general public, since they are designed for someone to grab them, turn them on, and they will tell you exactly what you need to do if you would find someone that was unconscious and pulseless. Over the years, what has happened since we started the program and we started building the program is all of them are different, or not all of them, most of them are different models and different years. And with anything electronic, as you know, with your cell phone purchase over the years, they change connectors and they change batteries and they change all the things that go with them. And we just can't keep up with having to stock batteries for each and every one of them and having to stock pads in that. And all these ones, like for the rec center, fell under their budget, or the police department fall under their budget, or their admin side under their budget. So this year, when I got to talking with Parks about theirs, I was like, why don't we just put all this under the fire department? So the fire department would just run this program, and I had the idea of trading in all the old ones we have, buying all new, the same ones, buying training aids that are the same, so when we train our employees and we train the general public, they're all trained under the ones we actually own. So that's what you've seen in front of you. I think you were given handouts. So to replace all the ones we had, and I think we were going to add one extra for Parks and Rec to put in the van that they do, they transport the seniors around in, to replace all those and give us our training aids and some spare batteries and spare pads. That's the paperwork you see in front of you. So the fire division would run the program. We would keep up on all the maintenance and make sure they get their monthly testing and things like that. I just think it would run smoother and make sure we have a better program overall for our citizens. So for 14 of the AEDs, the price came back for $34,952.12. And for the 4 training devices that actually mimic those automatic defibrillators was $2,545.92. And I believe the finance director may have something to point out about where we could get that money from, since none of this was budgeted.
We do have available budget and available cash in the American Rescue Plan Act money. And also, Chief, to piggyback on that, I believe last week I saw something from the Ohio Municipal League that the state legislature is considering legislation that would require all public buildings to have AEDs. We've had them, but I mean, it's just more of a, a good reason to make sure they're updated and following the program like Chief has said. So, but yes, we do have money in the with the American Rescue Plan Act money, and it's available if and it's able to be used on public purposes like this. If council, wants to go that way, we have that available.
It's also good to note, I believe we have a couple that currently are not working. So this would resolve that and then bring the consistency that the chief spoke about, that we would have familiarity, regardless of what location we're in, as they would all function the same and rely on the same technology and same pattern.
Why didn't we get 3 bids on this? Why did we only go with one company?
Again, this would be the familiarity of what we have currently. You'll see that we have some trade-in value. We've been training our employees on this one, and for this area of this type of defibrillator, they only assign us one company to do the sales for us.
Okay.
This is a cooperative bid price as well.
Yeah,
It's through the.
It has a
SAVIC.
SAVIC number under it from,
Yeah.
which we joined to buy was it the medic that we joined, or the defibrillators, or the compression devices?
So even though
Yeah.
this
The second one,
isn't a
yes.
bidded item, it meets that criteria
Okay.
being under the cooperative.
Didn't we just recently buy defibrillators? Was that
We
for
bought-
medics or?
So the ones you bought earlier were the ones that we use in the medics. They're much more complicated. You need to be a paramedic to run those. So these are for the general public and for people just trained in CPR. That's what these are for. But like I said, he said like cops. But yeah, you turn these on, they'll tell you, place the pads on the patient. It gives you, so a layman could actually use these. They're fully automatic. So that's why we're going to put them around the city and all the, as he said, all the public buildings.
So these don't operate in the same way. I understand they're more complicated, but they don't operate the same way.
No,
Right.
no.
Okay.
So you just need legislation for the purchase of, I'll make a motion, we have legislation for our next meeting, for the citywide purchase of automated external defibrillators.
Any other questions or comments? Please.
Mr. Doherty?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Burchett?
Yes.
Ms. Marcus?
Yes. Okay, we have the request to sell city properties, 3612 Beach Grove and 4510 East Venetian.
Yes, thank you. I've had some prior conversation with council on this, and as you know, there are a few homes in significant disrepair that the city's had the ability to take ownership of over the years, and there's been some recent interest and activity from the private side and from citizens indicating that they would like to acquire them, rehab them, and make them productive again, and also remove the eyesore aspect of the homes. The first one references 3612 Beach Grove. I laid a couple pieces of paper in front of you. If you go to the 3612 Beach Grove, you'll obviously see a visual of the home. If you flip over, you'll see that we did secure an appraisal on the property from Mr. Mike Moorhead. And he identified this because the Beach Grove site actually has roughly 2.5 to 3 parcels tied to it. So it's a bigger lot, especially over on Beach Grove. And again, the estimated appraised value is $19,250 as is. And we advertised both of these properties for sale. We received some offers, and the highest offer that we received was from a Mr. Bobby Engel for $15,000. So what I would ask is that council give consideration to selling this property, having the proper legislation drafted up, and obviously go through the whole closing process and sell this property to Mr. Engel. The second property is 4510 Venetian Way. If you're looking at the photograph in front of you, it's actually the house to the right, not the one to the left. It's very hard to see because of the tree, but this home is boarded up and in significant disrepair. We also advertised this property. We also got an appraisal. The appraised value came in at $12,150. We also used Michael Moorhead for this appraisal. And through advertisement, we received a couple offers. The highest offer was $15,010. So this offer actually exceeds the appraisal by a little bit. And the gentleman who made the offer, his name is Ricardo Ortiz. So I would also ask if council is comfortable that we go through the same legislative and closing process to sell 4510 Venetian Way to Mr. Ricardo Ortiz for $15,010. Martina, I would assume, would this take two actions?
separate ordinances.
Two separate ordinances. Okay.
These properties have to be brought back within code within a certain length of time.
They do not, they were not advertised that way. However, we can, once it's not in our ownership, we'll be able to apply our current rules within the ordinances to encourage them to do so. They'll have to bring it into repair and improve the aesthetics and the safety, or we could actually continue to board up the home. So, and that will be relayed to them at the sale, and we will continue to stay on them. We'll have our inspector and our engineering assistant work diligently to make sure these repairs occur quickly. I will say that this was actually instigated from private interest. I was receiving some phone calls on both properties, and that's really what got us to where we are today. So, and we received, I think it was 2 on Beech Grove and 3 for Venetian.
These are the kind of calls where I'm interested in buying your property.
No, they were not. No.
Got one of those woke me up a few days ago.
I get them all the time.
So
We need
again,
two
if
motions.
there's no any other questions, just legislate 2 pieces of legislation, 1 for each property.
I'll make a motion then for legislation, 2 pieces of legislation, one for the 3612 Beech Grove and the other one for 4510 East Venetian.
Other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Miller,
Yes?
Mayor Murphy,
Yes,
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Mr. Burchett,
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes.
Thank you.
Our final piece of business is the CDBG grant application for 2024 ADA curb ramp installation, Kettering Boulevard and South Dixie Drive.
Yes, I've got that one. As we begin to move from bid and contract issuance and construction season, we're now going into grant application time, beginning to look at future projects, and that is the purpose of this request. We have slated for 2026 work, the resurfacing of Kettering Boulevard, and we're going to be applying for and receiving a sizable federal grant with regards to that. In order to get that money and proceed with the project, we need to install ADA-compliant ramp access along Kettering Boulevard. And now that we are entering grant season, we see the opportunity to apply for CDBG funding to do that. So that is the request here, is a resolution to allow us to apply for CDBG funding to do that project next year in preparation for the 2026 resurfacing project. So unless there's any questions, that's the simple presentation.
Matt, can you identify the total estimated project cost and then the amount of the grant?
Certainly, yes.
The
Total
CDBG
project cost right now from the engineer's estimate is $347,441. The grant request will be in the amount of $150,000. And that'll leave a total local match amount of $197,441.
this will go into next year's budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll apply for that grant. If we receive it, yes, then we'll move forward with that project and put it in next year's budget.
We have to be ADA compliant in order for us to secure the federal dollars, which we currently have, but to use them for the 2026 resurface. So the project has to be done prior to that. This is just an opportunity to work with the CDBG program at Montgomery County and maybe secure a little more money through the Haverstick subdivision that meets the criteria the same way we did for Copplegate and securing $200,000 in CDBG dollars there.
Make a motion that we have legislation prepared for the 2024 ADA curb ramp installation for Kettering and Dixie.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Murphy,
Yes,
Mr. Burchett,
Yes.
Mr. Darty?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Marcus?
Yes. That concludes business. So we have staff and council report. Start with the fire department,
No report, thank you, ma'am.
police department,
No report, thank you, ma'am.
building maintenance,
No report, thank you, ma'am.
street department,
No report, thank you.
parks and rec,
No report, thank you.
development, economic development,
No report tonight, thanks.
city manager,
I have no items, thank you.
law director,
Keep it up, no report.
finance director,
Don't break it up. Sorry. Just to give you an update, our annual audit will be done next week. There's just a few little items that we're working on, and the comprehensive annual financial report has been finalized, and so we look forward to getting the report from the auditors next week, and so we'll have something to, present to you in the next few weeks after that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
thank you. Clerk of council,
I have nothing, thank you.
Mayor Murphy,
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Mr. Miller.
Just two quick items. Laura was here at the last council meeting, so Don, congratulations to you and the finance department on your award. Also, since we were talking about the Wax Park plan and the comprehensive plan, hopefully we can mesh those together at some point and come up with a overall plan. But just food for thought, 2025 is the 60th anniversary of the city. Remember, we had a 50th anniversary celebration. I don't know if they want to wait till 75th, but if there's any consideration for a 60th, that's coming up. And then I was talking to some of the people over at the Marine Air Park, and they have 3 significant milestones also coming up in 2025. And they'd like to have an air show and just quite a few activities during that calendar year. So, and they would eventually want to get a couple representatives from the city on their planning committee and try to get all this worked out, obviously a year in advance. So just food for thought, possible programming down the road if the city's interested in joining with the air park, or if the city wants to have a 60th.
Might be something to
Anniversary.
coordinate with Parks and Rec.
Yeah, they would definitely want some. Yeah, Brad, yeah. So, anyway, just food for thought. Thank you.
Mr. Doherty,
No report, thank you.
Mr. Burchett.
No report.
Well, I have nothing either, so we'll adjourn at 7:17.